I remember when trying to play over rhythm changes, it felt impossible because it's played so fast and there are so many chord changes, but actually it's so much simpler than you think, and I'm excited to crack that code for you in this lesson. This is the 13th lesson in a big series where I'm teaching deep dive lessons on the top 25 jazz standards for guitar players. There's a link to a playlist of this entire series in the description. The song we're learning today is I Got Rhythm, or you can think of it as the rhythm changes for any number of other jazz standards that use that progression. If you're here just to learn the chords or just the melody of I Got Rhythm, then just use the timestamp links in the description. You can go to the section that you are looking for because we cover a lot of stuff in this lesson. Here's what we're going to cover in this video. First, I'll tell you about the song I Got Rhythm and why it's worth learning. Then I'll teach you the melody by clearly demonstrating it on the guitar with notation and tab on the screen. I'll teach you both the easiest chord shapes and the more common jazz guitar chord shapes for this song, all with chord diagrams on the screen. I'll teach you the scales that you need to be able to improvise over the rhythm changes, all with demonstrations and scale diagrams on the screen. Every lesson in this series includes a unique piece of advice for how to truly internalize a jazz standard that you can apply to any tune, so I will share that. And lastly, I'll give you a guitar listening recommendation for this song, which is what I do in every video in this series. You can access and download the learning resources for this whole lesson series and from other lessons on my channel by becoming a premium supporter on my website or through Patreon. There are links in the description to those two options. You'll get PDFs of the chord progression lead sheet, the scale breakdown, the scales for soloing, the diagrams, the chords, and when I can provide the melody, I provide that as well when a song is in public domain, like this song is, so you'll get the actual tabs and lead sheet as well for that, and a custom-made backing track with me comping. Just use those links in the description to join and support and get all those extra resources. I Got Rhythm was composed by George Gershwin with lyrics by Ira Gershwin for the 1930 musical Girl Crazy. It became a huge hit and quickly made its way into the jazz world, where its chord progression, known as rhythm changes, became one of the most important and widely used harmonic templates in jazz. Countless bebop tunes are based on the same chord progression, and tunes like Oleo, Anthropology, Moose the Mooch, and many more. So learning I Got Rhythm and the rhythm changes gives you a foundation of understanding to play dozens of other standards. The melody is catchy and it's upbeat and it has a classic form. That's a 32 AABA form. And this tune is also great for mastering fast-moving functional harmony. But the secret that I'm going to show you in this lesson is that you can interpret it in a few different ways to make it easier, so we can get in and actually play on this song and not think of it as such an advanced song. Let's go ahead and learn the melody to I Got Rhythm. Here it is at 180 beats per minute. Okay, here are the very famous rhythm changes, the chords themselves. We're going to get into learning the chords. So let's talk about just a tiny bit of theory here. This is such a famous progression. It's 1, 6, 2, 5, and that's kind of the crux, the core of this sound. And we're going to talk about that more with the improvisation section, because there's something that this is doing that is very intentionally, harmonically, compositionally, that we can use to improvise over it way easier than thinking of every chord and just having it fly by and losing us in the dust. Okay, this chord here, D minor, okay, it's the 3 chord of the key of B flat major. But this is a stand-in for just B flat major. It's another 1, 6, 2, 5. Okay, how is that possible? It's a different chord. Well, functionally, they're doing the exact same thing. And D minor 7 is a rootless, the exact notes of D minor 7 are the same notes as the 3rd, 5th, 7, and 9 of B flat major 7. So it's a B flat major 9 without the root. So it has all of the sound and quality of truly just this tonic chord. Check out my video on functional harmony where I explain exactly that principle and how you can change chords around based on how they function, like these two together, because you can play this progression just going back to B flat here instead, 1 6 2 5 1 6 2 5. But this adds a little variety to it and it's quite nice. But you don't need to think of it as its whole other thing. It's functioning all the same. Again, we'll come back to that when we talk about improvising. There's a reason even working on improvising at all over chord changes is so helpful for our just general musicianship, because we have to navigate, figure out certain things like that. Okay, so then we have a B flat dominant 7 chord. So it's going out of the key here. If you see a dominant 7th chord, that has to be the 5 of a key. Of course, there are always exceptions to things, but that's the first step. Okay, what is that the 5 of? So for a moment here, this is an E flat major key. It's because it's targeting this E flat major here. So what is this here? It's a slash chord. It just means that the bass note, still just B flat 7, the bass is going to go to D. So it's B flat 7 over D. D is just a chord tone in the chord. So you're just hearing a bass movement happen here, which is quite nice. And I almost always play that bass movement, even if I'm playing with a bass player. And you have just this E flat dominant 7 and then E diminished 7. Okay, so we have a root movement 1, 3, going up a half step to this, up another half step from E to F. And you'll hear that if you listen to my intro or my comping or the demonstrations that I'm doing. So this is a intentional way, these slash chords, an intentional way to tell you that there should be this kind of melodic motion happening in the bass, in the low end. So quick note about B flat 6 versus B flat major 7, either or. B flat 6 is a nice kind of smoother, softer sound. B flat major 7 has a little more tension and spice to it because the major 7 has a little bit of rub against the half step away that is the root above it. But they're interchangeable always. If you see a B flat major 6, you can play B flat major 7. If you see major 7, you can play major 6. They're just, the 6 and 7 are totally interchangeable. It's just a tonic major kind of sound. What's cool about the B flat 6 in this case is that the exact same notes exist in G minor 7. So B flat 6 is an inversion of G minor 7, or G minor 7 is an inversion of B flat 6. So, this is a little hint actually to what we're going to talk about later. Oh, you can improvise over these as if they're the same chord. You don't have to think of it as, changing. Okay, so that's my little hint, and we'll get to that, which will be really fun. So that's going on in the chords here. The parentheses just means you play that the first time going back because there's a repeat, and the second time you do not. You're going into here. Okay, this is overall, it's rhythm changes. It's like one of the most famous chord progressions of all time in Western popular music. So going to the 3 chord of the key as a dominant 7, and then just going through the circle of fourths with dominant 7s, such a famous progression. I mean, it's all over the place. I just was listening to a Bob Dylan playlist the other day. I don't remember what song it was, but I had watched that biopic about him, what it was called, A Complete Unknown. And so I was listening to a play, and I don't remember what song it was, but this, boom, goes to the bridge, the 3 chord dominant 7, and just does this 3, 6, 2, 5. It's just a famous progression. It's happening in all kinds of music. So 3 dominant 7, 6 as dominant 7, 2 as dominant 7, 5 as dominant 7. They're all just going through the circle of fourths, and that brings us back to 1 so beautifully. And then we just have that busy progression again that we're going to decode a little more later. So let me just show you the actual chord shapes now. It's really fun to play. It's a lot of chord switching, but super fun to do. I'll show you a couple versions of it. Let's switch to that. Now I'll play you 2 different versions of the chord shapes for this tune. I'll play each chord once each time a chord changes, and I'll show you the chord shape diagrams on the screen so you can learn them that way. I encourage you to practice along with these demonstrations as you're working on getting the chords down. First, I will play you the chords using the simplest chord shapes possible. These are often called shell voicings, and they are widely used in jazz. Here's that demonstration at 180 beats per minute. I'll play the more common jazz guitar chord shapes for the rhythm changes progression. These have an extra note in them and they fill out the sound a little more. This demonstration is also at 180 beats per minute. Next, I'll show you the scales that you need to be able to improvise and solo over the rhythm changes. I'll demonstrate and show diagrams of all the scales in one specific overlapping position on the fretboard. And this is the good stuff. This is what I'm excited to share with you. So let's get into that. I'll show you all these scales on the guitar with the scale diagrams and demonstrate and everything like that up and down. And we'll do some improvisation demonstration, but let's look at it on the sheet here first. This is my complete scale sheet. This is my particular way. This is just something that I do. I haven't seen, this is not a common thing, though surely tons of people must do this. But it's just helped me so much and helped me with teaching students so much to create a lead sheet that shows the scales that we can draw from to play. Now, there are often many scale options, and to have a unique voice in improvisation, a lot of people can choose, you can choose all kinds of sources to play your notes from, or just go by ear or do all kinds of things. But I like to have, if I'm struggling with something especially, or just anytime, I like to have one option that I know, I'm going to master this so I can play something. Because if I play something with a good phrasing, with good feel, think about the melody of this is just a major pentatonic scale. Like, you can play an amazing melody, a catchy melody, something expressive, something that catches people's ears, and they say, oh, that sounds good, based on how you are playing with your feel and your phrasing. So therefore, the note selection just needs to be something that works, that we like the sound of. And I like to go with like the most obvious option, which is usually the chords that the scale that the chords comes from, and really, really work on being able to improvise tastefully with that in one position on the guitar. But anyway, I digress, because I like to communicate these things and inspire you, that to tell you this is so very possible over a tune like this, where yes, the changes are so fast often, and kind of like, how do we ever play over this? We can already see what's happening here, and we already know all of these are from the same key. Right? So we have 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5. Okay. That's all from B flat major. And you can just play B flat major there. The secret is that, or the tricky thing is that when we play a scale like that, what does it sound like, right? What is everybody's complaint? That it sounds like a scale. Okay, well then we need to work on our feel and our phrasing and our scale melodic patterns and breaking things up, and yes, working on some arpeggios and stuff like that. But here's the big kicker on this particular tune and this particular progression. I'm just going to give it to us right here, because it's this main progression, the 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5, that this is a thing. So what's happening here is something harmonically called prolongation. And I sometimes refer to it as elongation, though I kind of changed, since I learned it years and years ago, I started thinking of it as elongation. So sometimes I call it that, but I believe the correct term is prolongation. And all of this is actually just B flat major. It's just B flat major, the chord, the harmony. We already said that this and this have the exact same notes in them. B flat major 6, G minor 7. Okay, so that's a tonic chord. That's a 1 chord. Oh, well, then we have a 2-5. So yeah, you could say, I'm going to play like as if it's 1, 5, 1, 5. You can do that. Or I'm going to play as if it's 1 and then play over the 2, 1 and then play. So you can actually combine these two as a function as well, or separate them. The options are endless. It's music, it's art, you can do anything you want. But a way to get into this, because what I want for you for this whole series, my general philosophy is, we don't want to get bogged down by doing fancy things and enclosures and, the special ways of using chromatic notes and memorizing a bunch of licks and outlining everything perfectly, if we can't just simply play over the tune. Just simply play over it. And think about the melody again of the song itself, how it's just going up a pentatonic scale and back down, and it feels good. So can we just play something and actually get through the tune and show up at a jam session and play? It doesn't need to sound like the most advanced, crazy angular jazz stuff. You can add that later, but don't work on that stuff if you can't just play through the tune with a scale. And of course, try to get it to sound good with your feel and your phrasing. But the thing is here is that you can actually treat all of this as B flat the chord. B flat the chord. So this is, yes, it's 2/5, it's adding tension here, but this is a technique that composers started using years and years and years ago to make a single harmony sound more interesting. How can we just sit there for so long treading water without making some kind of movement to stay up and not sink? Kind of my analogy there. I ride the unicycle. I have since I was a little kid, and there's a technique called rocking where you stay in one spot. But you can't just balance in one spot. You have to move your foot back and forth and rock like this. So you're in one spot, but you have to have some motion to stay balanced, right? I don't know if it's the perfect analogy, but this is our motion to stay balanced. We're moving through some harmony to just make it feel like we're very much in this tonic chord. So what can you do here? You can play all of this as if it's the major chord. This I'm very excited about because when I realized that, I just played over it as if it's major, and then it sounded great and I could play. And what's crazy is that if you are working on playing over let's say it was B flat major, just said that, and just everyone played B flat major. Well, then the thing people do over chords that are just statically existing for a long time, and the thing to practice would be to be weaving in and out of the chords with chromatic notes or outside notes or tension, you would be actually, if this was just the harmony of B flat major, you could make it more interesting with your soloing over it by outlining a 2/5. And that's exactly what people do. And in my own journey, by practicing really strictly outlining every chord in every progression I ever work on, chord, tone, soloing, voice leading, enclosures, that type of stuff, really being able to actually play the chord changes themselves. Well, then I started just adding those chord changes intuitively in places where they didn't exist, like over, say, 2 measures of a G7 chord, where I might add some tension with G7, a little bit of kind of D7, or even a little bit of F sharp diminished, and then back to G7, just like for these little moments. But the only way that got into my playing is by outlining chords. So my point is, it works both ways. You've got a bunch of chords changing all crazy fast, and it just is representing one chord with the compositional technique of prolongation. Okay, just think of it as B flat major and play over as B flat major. And when I started doing that, I still was playing the resolutions just intuitively because of other stuff. I'm still kind of treating it as, and you'll hear my examples in a second, I'm still kind of treating it as this F7 landing on B, or this, this F7 to here, or not really to there, but definitely from here to here, and definitely from this back to here. There's this intuitive sense of it arriving back to here. Here's the big spot. So anyway, I know I'm saying a lot about this, but I want to, if you're the right person who needed to hear this, this is huge. This is huge. Just play B flat major, okay? And yes, it's B flat major scale, but think of it as B flat major, the chord even, and just play around with it the way you would on the chord. And then this is just B flat dominant 7 chord. So, okay, so you have this one big harmony, then you have this harmony, and then you have this. So yes, B flat 7, E flat 7, this you can ignore, or if you get fancy, eventually just outline it with chord tones. But even in my quote unquote complete scales list here, I'm just thinking of this as E flat Mixolydian still. And then we're just back to B flat major with this prolongation. This is just B flat major. Look, it goes to F7 back. It goes B flat, F7, B flat, F7, prolongation. Prolonging the harmony, adding interest. This is just B flat. That's all that means. That's what that means. So I hope that helps. We're going to practice all of these in 1 second. I'll show you everything on the guitar. And then just what a fun progression to play on. I mean, if you do nothing else, master this. Is so fun. Just playing dominant 7 chord, moving through the circle of fourths, and just being able to rip it on that. And here we have the Mixolydian scales. This means that D Mixolydian, it means it's the 5th mode of a major scale. So you can think of it as D Mixolydian as a scale. It's a major scale with a flat 7, or you can think of it as G major. Does not matter. Who cares? Play what sounds good. Think of it, you could call it something completely different. I dislike it very much when people say, oh, you should never think of it as the mode and you should think of it this way. Or it's like, of course, do whatever you want. find what feels good. And I'm trying to help with just accurate information that can get you, moving forward and moving forward. I have a video on how to be your own best teacher and how to adapt everything to suit yourself and learn better. It's a pretty good video that I'm very proud of, that I think is very helpful. So if you're interested in checking that out, there's a link to it in the description. So, okay, G mixolydian because it's G7. Great, same as C major. C7, same as F major. On the guitar, it's cool because as you learn how to do these things, it's very much a pattern. But what do we do on the guitar that holds us back? We play it in one way. We might play it in one place we know it. And then we move to the same shape that we know it on the neck. We move to the same shape. That is a way to never sound lyrical. That is a way to sound disjointed and not connect your ideas and just play the same stale stuff forever and ever. You're shifting around the neck each time. No, we need to know all our physical shapes for all the scales and all the arpeggios, and we need to be able to connect them all in one position, which is the way that I teach and the way that I work on things. Okay, so that is our overview for this. I know that's a lot of me just talking and raving about it, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about it. So let's just go up and down the scales with diagrams so you have those, and then I'll do a demonstration of improvising over it. Here is the B flat major scale. Here's the B flat mixolydian scale, one note different. The 7 moves down to flat 7. Here is the E flat mixolydian scale, same scale off of E flat. Since we're playing modes and kind of wanting to think of it that way, I'm doing this root to root approach. So it really sounds like the mode and doesn't sound like the parent scale. Here is D mixolydian. Same exact physical shape we just did on E flat, but down a half step. Here is the G mixolydian. And like I said, if you want to treat that just as playing C major, great, that's going to be fine too. Here is C mixolydian. Here is F mixolydian. Those are all of the scales in that position. Notice I'm all in that position. By mastering things there, I can connect my ideas together. So here's a demonstration of improvising with those through the progression. So what I'm going to do is improvise as simply as I can, because again, I don't want to just do a bunch of fancy stuff. I want you to see how this can be a very simple feeling progression. So play slower and lyrically over it, and just try to hit those big spots. So we got the B flat major during those first 4 measures, and then you got that B flat, and really you just want to target that note there or there for the B flat 7, and you want to target this note or here for the E flat 7. So you got now you can hear how that had this resolution to it that it felt like it worked through the progression. I wasn't thinking at all of boom, dun, 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 dun. I do like to do that. That's a separate thing I'll work on. But if I'm just hitting the big spots, major, dominant 7, E flat dominant 7, then back to just major and kind of try to resolve it back to that. So that's what just simply doing that and hitting those big spots is the secret, is the secret to rhythm changes. So here's that demonstration. This is the part of the video where I give you an internalization tip, which just means we're working on something that is a core, difficult musicianship skill that translates to all other music that you ever play. Really working on your underlying abilities. And in this video, the tip is to be able to sing the bass notes, the roots of the chords through the progression while playing the melody at the same time. We sang the roots in a different exercise in the series where we play the guide tones above it. Very difficult to do. Depending on the song, this can be difficult too. And no matter how hard it is, this is the good stuff. This internalization stuff, this musicianship stuff. This is what we want it to be so difficult if it feels like you can't even do it. The way people get there is not because it comes easy for them. It's because they obsess over feeling like, I want this so bad, or I feel like I should be able to do it. And I'm going to sit here for hours and hours just to be able to accurately get those first two measures right. Or, I'm just going to really work on this deeply for days, weeks, months, years, and then you truly internalize it. When you're working on stuff that hard, your brain is literally making new neural pathways. Whereas if you read some new fact and you didn't have to work for it at all, we're going to forget that, right? We just easy come, easy go. But when you work on the hard stuff, that's when we're actually getting better. So singing the roots of the chords and playing the melody at the same time. Pretty difficult on this tune because the melody is so rhythmically syncopated, but the point of these tips is for any tune at all. So choose some segment of something somewhere to do that, and you're going to know the song so much better. One of the tips I gave earlier in the series is just that we want to know the melody so well. The better we know the melody, the easier it is for us to know where we are in the form. We won't get lost as easily, basically. And so we just want to sneakily find all these different ways to work on the song itself, right? Really work on what the song is. So we're playing the melody and doing something else simultaneously. And after you hear a few more of these, you're going to come up with your own and be like, ooh, I wonder if I can, can I sing the roots and play chord tones if you're working on chord tones? Or can I play the melody and sing a different note from it? Or can I sing the melody and improvise with the scales at the same time, or all kinds of things. And we're going to have some more of these later in the series, of course. So that's your internalization tip for this video. I'll give you my guitar listening recommendation for I Got Rhythm in 1 second. But first, you can access and download the learning resources from this whole lesson series and from my other lessons on the channel as well by becoming a premium supporter on my website or through Patreon. So if you want to have that scale sheet that shows all the scales and have that in front of you as a PDF, or be able to print it out and have all of those scale diagrams. They're all in the video too, so you can just learn it from the video. But if you want to get the downloadable resources, and in this tune, you'll get the melody and the tabs as well, though I always can't provide those if I don't own the rights to them. But there's a link in the description to those two options. You can join as a premium supporter on my website or through Patreon. They are exactly the same thing. They look and feel the same. Just have the Patreon option for people that love using that platform already. You'll get the PDFs and chord progression, the lead sheet, the scale breakdowns, the scale diagrams, the chord shape diagrams, those sheets that you saw on the screen, all of that, and a custom-made backing track with me comping so you can feel like we're playing together. Just use the links in the description to join and support and get all those extra resources, or go to soundguitarlessons.com/join. Listening to the songs that we want to play is super important. If you want a jazz guitar listening recommendation for I Got Rhythm, I recommend Oscar Peterson's version with Herb Ellis playing guitar. It's a great version. There's a link to a playlist of all my listening recommendations in the description. Make sure you listen to that or some other version as you are working on this song. And make sure you're subscribed, because I can't wait to see you in my next lesson in this series. And we are going to do song number 14 from the series, and that tune is going to be Alone Together. Please hit the like button and leave a comment to let me know if you liked this lesson. It really makes a difference and helps more people find the videos. Check out the description for all the links I've mentioned and for how you can support the channel. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy practicing.